So, Olivia Jackson, I know you, but I don't know you, I've realised, because I've read some of the things that are on your biography, and I had no idea of the journey that your life has taken. Quite exceptional. But we do know each other from Genesis Martial Arts Gym.
Yep.
You train with Paul Busby, who is a good friend to both of us, I guess. One of the things that you do is your skipping, which stands you out a bit, doesn't it? Because you've got a bar with ropes that link and you skip one-handed like that, don't you?
Yeah, my husband, Dave, he actually found it on Instagram. There's a couple people with one arms from America. And they have there's a big gym there, I've forgotten what it's called, but it's for disabled people.
Right.
And they actually make them there, I think, or one guy makes them. My husband saw it on Instagram, so he bought it from America.
You're a pretty good kicker, aren't you, as well? When your roundhouse goes higher, considerably higher than my roundhouse. In fact, it goes over your head. Yeah. You are very flexible.
But I don't have much power left anymore.
I don't know. I've seen you lose.
At least kickboxing, you only have to fight the air most of the time.
No, we'll get to you and your boxing career in a minute. But you are an incredibly focused individual, aren't you?
Like when you see me at a training session, the amount of mental strain it takes me to get through a session, because all the twisting, and my spine is so twisted itself and my neck is paralyzed. Well, this whole left-hand side of my top half of my body is paralyzed. So the amount of discomfort I get when I train is horrible. I used to have to go to a training session, then I would have to lie down for 3 hours because I couldn't move. It's got better now, but
a lot of people would say, why train then?
Because if I didn't, I'd get worse and worse and worse. Yeah.
So it's a need to, but also that 100%
doesn't mean it's easy. Yeah.
No. So you're born in South Africa?
Yep.
Just outside Johannesburg, is that right?
Kempton Park, but I don't remember being there. We moved to an area called Natal, a province, when I was a baby, I think.
So you grew up, on a farm, don't you?
Yeah, I grew up on a farm. I love farms. It's amazing. A really cool lifestyle there. There's three of us girls. So I got two sisters. I'm the middle. And we just used to, I thought it was a massive farm, but my mom says it was a small holding. We had this big forest on the hill. I used to go up every day into the forest and create stories, all with our dogs and everything. And the other day I said to my mom, I was like, how did you let us go up into the forest all on our own so far? And she's like, no, I could see from the kitchen window. You know, when you're small, everything's
so much bigger, right?
Yeah. But we had this massive rockery with ferns and streams and ponds and tadpoles in there and all sorts of things. We used to play in there all day, like say, this is my classroom and I'm the teacher and all that shit. Yeah. And make swings out of vines hanging from the trees and make little boats and race them down the streams and jump in the pond. And we had a big swimming pool. We used to, after a while, my dad stopped flying as a pilot and he had to be at home with the family. He's really into plants. He still has a nursery now. So he started a nursery on the farm. And so he had these massive rolls of really thick plastic. There's lots of banks on our farm. So we used to take these rolls of plastic, roll them out really long, take a bottle of dishwashing liquid, squirt it all over the plastic, put a hose pipe on it,
right,
and make a homemade slippery slide. I don't know how he didn't kill us. We used to bolt, sprint down.
What were you using as a sled then? Just your bodies?
Yeah. Don't you know what a slippery slide is?
No.
We call it a flippy slide.
A slippery slide. So basically, you're unrolling like industrial plastic down what size of hill?
I can't remember because
whatever said that, whatever. So you
it's probably like 50 meters or something.
50 meters?
Or 30 meters, I don't know.
So, you got used to, what I'm saying is, even at an early age, you sort of grew up getting dirty.
Yeah.
And also doing risky stuff, right?
Yeah.
So there you are. You go to school. Your mum and dad have split up.
Yeah.
There was pressure on you to become a model before you even left school, wasn't there?
Oh, well, I was asked. I did a fashion show. My last 2 years of school, I went to a very good private girls' school. I got help to go to that school.
Oh, right.
I was very clever, not that I've used my brain, but anyway.
I'd argue that point because I know I know a little bit about you now, a lot more than I used to know. Go on. So you got into that school because of a scholarship, effectively, right?
Yeah, well, it was a private scholarship.
Yeah.
I think my grandmother paid for pretty much most of it.
Right.
But my mum wanted to send us to a good school, which is important there. So she, poor thing, just worked like her ass off to try and get us through school and everything.
So where was your dad at this point? I have to ask this question.
He was living, I think, where he lives now. Well, he's been there for 25 years.
Are you still close?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll see him next month. I think I'm going there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So there you go. Going back to the modelling. So there you are, and you do a model show.
Yeah.
But how old are you at that point?
I think I was 16. Or 17.
Which isn't effectively that young for a model, as we know.
No. But you got to remember, I live in the middle of nowhere at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It's nowhere anywhere near a city or anything. So it's like in a farming area. Because it was a quite well-to-do school, the boys' school, they had all these, posh people helping out. Like they had some top model coming to teach us how to catwalk and all that. So that model, I can't remember her name now. I think her name was Jodie something. Yeah. She said to me, I'll do well at modeling. But my mother said that I can't do it. I have to finish school before I do something like that. Mm-hmm. So when I finished school, I saw lots of my friends going off to study things and then stop studying and then just waste money. They were all come from rich families, so it doesn't really matter. But I thought, I'm not going to do that. I didn't know what I want to do because who knows what they want to do when they're 18. So I thought, I think I'll just start modeling now and take some time doing that. And then they sent me to Cape Town to model, which is obviously, it's the biggest industry there in South Africa. Yeah.
You've got the beach, you've got the mountains, and you've got the weather, right?
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
It is a gorgeous place.
Yeah. It's hard to move there.
Not if you end up in Portsmouth Prison.
No.
It's not so gorgeous.
No.
But having said that, I always what found surprising about Portsmouth Prison was, despite what was happening inside it, it was surrounded by a golf course and a vinery, not vinery, a vineyard.
Yeah.
That had very nice wine in it, actually. So there you are. You've got a successful modelling career. Right, going. Why do you want to go and live with Buddhist monks?
Well, that started when I was in school. I can't remember, in the late 90s when the film 7 Years in Tibet came out.
Brad Pitt.
With Brad Pitt, yep.
And congratulations on your Oscar, sir. Long overdue. Oh,
yeah, he mentioned about stunt performers as well, I hear, from a million stunt performers.
Did he? Good for him.
Yeah, he said they need to start being recognized in the Oscars.
100%. They need to start to be recognised and looked after 100%. But we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
Let's talk about Buddhist monks first.
Yeah. So when I was in school, I watched this. I'd never heard of Tibetans or anything, but I had a strange fascination with Asia since I was small. I remember I used to find Chinese writing or Japanese writing and then draw it myself and then cut it out. And I used to have it all stuck on my wall. Didn't know what it meant, but anyway. I had this thing for Asia since I was young. And then I'm watching the movie and I watched the scene where Brad Pitt gets to Tibet, to Lhasa. And there's all the Tibetan trumpets and you see the monks and the Dalai Lama when you're a
They're rather
kid.
big, long things, aren't they?
Yeah, they're amazing. I love them.
Yeah.
And something in that just resonated so fucking deeply with me. And I thought, my God, that's amazing. I want to go there. When I grow up, I'm going to go there. So it was always my thing to go there. That was my dream. And then I started, Google was pretty slim at that time. So I used to go, when I moved to Cape Town modeling, I used to go down to the local library. And then I started studying Tibetan Buddhism. And then luckily modeling, you have some tough times and you have some really good jobs. So
you got some money?
Yeah. I decided, okay, I'm going to save. I thought I'll take 2 years off modeling and just go to India. So I found out they don't live in Tibet anymore because China invaded them and killed them off or chased them out.
Yeah.
So they live in India.
What part of India?
2 parts, mainly in McLeodganj, right in the north of India, in Himachal Pradesh, however you say that. Dalai Lama lives there.
Towards Himalayas, I guess, yeah?
Yeah, the foothills.
Yeah.
And then there's a massive monasteries in the very south. Don't know why there, but so there's quite a few monks there and communities that live there. I traveled around with my sister 3 months, and then I went there, and then I went down, it's a little walk down the hill, went there and said, can I stay here? It's a monastery, so it's just males, so you obviously stay a little bit separate.
And what's the format? So what do they do?
Well, they study, like, in this sect of Tibetan Buddhism, it's called Gelugpa, it's a lot of philosophy. So some sects, not sex, some sects, can't say it now.
Sects.
Yeah, some of them have a lot of meditation. This sect has a lot of studying philosophy. So you actually have a PhD, which takes like 20 years. It's full on. I like studying a lot of that as well. But I just did my own thing. I did my own. There's lots of places you can meditate there. There's a place called Tushita. It's a little bit up the hill. They have lots of meditation retreats going on and teachings. I love going to teachings. What
about conversing? How did you communicate?
They can speak English. They're quite good. Yeah.
What was the goal for you? What was the point in doing it? You said you wanted to do it from an early age, but what was the point? Were you seeking enlightenment or...
No,
Did you need it?
With the understanding that I have now of Buddhism, if I think back to then, what I have of it, I actually knew nothing. I thought I knew loads, but I didn't really truly understand it. But I still had this deep faith in it, just a love, just like a passion.
And that still exists. That still exists inside you.
Yeah, it's even bigger now because I understand it more.
How much has that helped you? And we are going to get there, but how much has that helped you with the recovery?
Oh, in a huge way. Massive, because like I remember lying in hospital when you're in so much pain, like your life's changed. You think to yourself, my life's fucked. My life's over. I don't want to have a sedentary life. I can't do stunts anymore. Can't box anymore. Can't model anymore. Like your face is just cut to pieces. Your a quarter of your body's paralyzed and you're just lying, like withering in pain and neuropathic pain and musculoskeletal pain. The amount of inner strength that you have to go through to do that is huge. And that's where I think Buddhism played a massive part, because it allows you to, you can't take away the pain and you can't take away, but you can change the suffering from the pain. So you can just allow yourself to be in that moment without suffering as much, without letting it change you so much.
Do you still meditate?
Yeah, every day, pretty much.
How long for?
I can't. When I'm being good, an hour. When I'm not being good, half an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes up and down, but I aim for an hour each time.
Okay.
We haven't talked about my Muay Thai
let's go there.
career.
Let's go.
But that started some years ago from modeling. When I was modeling.
Go on. So you're about modeling.
Yeah.
Let's divert from India and Buddhism and let's go back to modeling. Let's go to...
I drift a lot,
Muay Thai,
so you have to keep
Thai
track.
boxing, right?
Yeah.
One of the toughest forms of martial arts. I mean, I know people that used to do
brutal.
it. They used to just, the legs, they used to stand there and hit their legs, rub them with oil and then bash them basically with bits of wood, right?
Yeah.
To toughen them up.
Yeah. Or kicking the pads in each other's shins will get you there.
Yeah,
I used to have massive, felt like leather thickness, and I couldn't feel my shin bones for many years. It just gets really tough. Now they're pathetic. Now they're just like skin
effectively what, kicking bits of wood basically, yeah, to toughen up.
Yeah, and also just the
bones.
pads. The pads are rock so hard. Yeah.
Well, they're representative of bone and muscle, right?
Yeah. I got into, which is quite funny. Sorry, drink the water.
Mm-hmm.
I got into, I was probably a little depressed, and I got into eating Nutella. Now, Nutella...
As in chocolate?
Yeah.
As in like a big tub of chocolate?
So we don't really have that in Africa. So I found it, and I was like, oh, God, this is nice.
You become a Nutella junkie.
Yeah. I just buy tubs at a time and sit in my room all alone and munch it away. And I was sitting at a casting, and some model, was telling me about... she started this kickboxing at this gym down the road. So I was like, oh, I'll come do that. I heard that's good for weight loss. So off I went, off to kickboxing place. It wasn't kickboxing, it was Muay Thai. Didn't know what the difference was, but I just went there and then it started me off really slowly, obviously. But I absolutely fell in love with it from the start. So I started training more and more, and eventually I was training every day. And after 2 years of training, like every day, almost twice a day sometimes, I decided I wanted to start competing in the amateur league. So I had
This is in South Africa?
Yes, in South Africa. So I had one amateur fight, which was amazing. I won that, didn't get hurt, nothing. But now you're talking, headgear, chest guard, elbow guards, knee guards, shin pads, gum shield. Like you just can't even see or move or anything. Won that one, that was great. And then I got set up for another one. There was no one for me to fight, so I ended up fighting a girl a bit heavier than me. I lost really badly.
Did you?
Yeah. Ended up with I think they stopped the fight, as far as I remember. Big girl smashed to the nose, blood flying through the air. My family having a heart attack in the crowd.
Really?
And then...
so I'm laughing because it's just like the way my blood going through the air.
Yeah. If I find something I love, I'll do it 100%. Don't give a shit what people think or what they want to say. If I'm not interested, couldn't be bothered. I'm just like that. So
it's 100% nothing.
Yep.
Always been like that.
Yeah.
Even when you're sliding down a hill with fairy liquid on it on a plastic sheet.
See, we were 100% there as nothing.
Well. Sums you up. Go on. So you get quite good at it, right?
Yeah.
And obsessive with it. Again, this is 100% a nothing thing that's coming through. Yeah. Yeah. So you end up going down to Thailand. Yeah.
Yep. So I went to Thailand
to meet your sister.
Yeah, and a friend of mine who was living on the island. It's a diving island called Koh Tao.
Yeah.
On the east coast of
scuba
Thailand.
Diving.
Yeah, scuba diving. And then when I got there, I thought, Muay Thai is Thailand's. I'd been there once before for World Champs in 2004.
So to watch it or to partake?
Partake in Muay Thai World Champs,
so
amateur ones.
You'd actually fought in a world champion?
Yeah, it's amateur league, but the world champion.
Don't give me the amateur stuff. You're fighting
it's
in the world
champion. It's a totally different way
champion.
of fighting. In Thailand, they don't even really have amateur league.
No, and also they don't wear any covers, do they? They don't wear any pads now, any protection, headgear or anything.
Have that.
Yep. So go on. So anyway.
So I thought, I'm here. I might as well, get some
When was the last
exercise.
time you'd actually kicked or punched?
I hadn't trained for more than a year.
It's a long time. In a level that you'd be involved in, that's a very long time.
Yeah. And I missed moving your body like that.
Yeah.
So I went down, I found the one and only Muay Thai gym there called Island Muay Thai, owned by a guy, Pitun, Thai guy. And I went down there and arrived and I was like, can I do some training? So he said, yeah, sure. You can there. That's their business is to train tourists. So I did one training session, super unfit. And at the end of the training session, Pitun said to me, hey, you're quite good. Do you want to do a fight in 10 days' time?
Okay, yeah. Of course I will. Nut.
So I was like, yeah, why not?
So you said yes?
Yeah. Of course, I was like 25 and crazy, but I said yeah. And then I stayed for 10 days, trained for the fight after a year off.
Yeah.
Did the fight.
So was this against who? This is an amateur fight?
No, this is full professional
fight.
No pads, nothing, just 8-ounce gloves. Bosh.
That's it?
Yeah. And
against another Thai?
Yeah, against a Thai.
Yeah.
I think 4 rounds of 2 minutes.
Yes.
So it's not too long. Well, it feels long when
Depends
you're
doing
Depends
when you're getting, how hard you're getting kicked.
Exactly.
And how hard you're getting hit. And elbows.
True.
It's elbows as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Elbows, knees.
And there's no headgear.
No, nothing.
No body armor.
No. But it didn't really ever bother me not having any pads on. I once fought with 6-ounce gloves. That's horrible.
Because they land a bit heavy.
You can really hear it in your head when it lands. I'd hate to know what MMA fights feel like.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank God I've never found out, and I don't intend to, not at my age.
Yeah.
Moving swiftly on, though. So there you are. You have your fight, your first professional fight.
Yeah, that went well.
Well, better for you than it did for the opponent.
I think I knocked it out, but I can't remember with what.
right?
So everyone's really happy. We all go out, get drunk, drink lots of buckets. You know what it's like, Thailand. And then Pitun said, that was great. Do you want to do another fight in 3 weeks' time? So, and now I loved it. So I was like, yeah, sure. Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
I'll do another fight. So I stayed and did that one. And then anyway, cut to ended up staying on there for a couple of years, I think.
Say that again, a couple of years.
Yeah.
So you end up, so start off on a farm in Joburg, then you go international modelling, then you pick up Muay Thai and you fight in a World Champions, then you go with Buddhist monks, and then live in India for a bit, and now you go to an island in Thailand and you end up staying 2 years as a professional Muay Thai fighter. How many fights did you have? Do you know? Any idea?
In total, I've had 25, but that's including the 3 amateur fights.
That's still a lot.
Yeah,
a lot.
Yeah, not in Muay Thai terms, man. Those boys have fought like 300-400 times. It's crazy.
But do you remember your win and losses, or do you not want to talk about it?
I've had 20 wins, 5 losses.
It's better than most by some way. But so you became one of the biggest stunt women in Hollywood, right? Let's just list some of the films. Burma Conspiracy, Safe House, The Great British Story, Dread, Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's where you met your husband, David.
Yes.
Mad Max, Fury Road, and Resident Evil, the final chapter, 2016. Now, they call that the final chapter. It was nearly your final chapter, wasn't it?
Yep, almost.
So you're one of the best stunt women in the business at this point. You're doubling the biggest stars, the A-listers, and you're doing Resident Evil, and you've been asked to do a particular motorcycle stunt, right? With obviously no headgear on.
Yeah.
Right. So talk me through it.
So what we were supposed to do on that day was a fight scene on top of a moving vehicle, like a small lorry. But that scene, it was a Saturday, and we weren't supposed to originally shoot that day. It was rehearsal day. But then that changed, and we're going to shoot that day. So the whole of the next week was sunny blue skies. So that whole scene was supposed to be sunny blue skies with the fight on top of the moving vehicle. But that Saturday morning, it rained. It wasn't supposed to rain, but it was raining all day.
And we're in South Africa, by the way, yeah?
Yeah, we're in South Africa. So we're shooting in Johannesburg, and we're supposed to do this fight on top of the vehicle. Can't do it because it's raining. So you know what producers are like.
Yeah.
Time is money. So
I'm looking at them.
Sorry, all producers in the room. Yeah. Not all producers, but
most
film ones. Time is money. We've got all these crew here. They're all getting paid.
Let's do something else.
It's pouring with rain. Everyone's standing underneath a bridge trying to keep out of the rain. So what can we do? So they decided, let's shoot some motorbike stuff. To be honest, really stupid, because the motorbike scene comes directly off from you basically finish the fight on the vehicle, jump on a motorbike, which is on the side of a vehicle, wheelie the motorbike and zoot off. So it's the same scene, same weather. Anywho, I'm like, yep, can ride the motorbike in the rain. It's freezing, but it doesn't really matter. So the scene was, there's a long road, a desolate road, and it's blocked off. There's nothing else. So there's some car debris on the side to make it look like it's a apocalyptic world. Long road. There's a bridge on this side, and there's a bridge about 800 meters on the far end. What we're supposed to do was, I was supposed to start at the bridge on the far end, sitting on my own on the motorbike with one assistant director to give me the call.
Cute.
Yeah. Then there was, from the crew side, the crew bridge, there was an action vehicle, which is an SUV. For those listening that don't know, it's an SUV with a crane off the top of the SUV. And a crane can move in all sorts of directions. On this one, it was on the side of the vehicle. It was starting, on the end of the crane is a camera. The camera was starting low on the ground as they drove forward towards me.
So they're moving.
Yeah, they're moving forward.
Crane's moving like that. So this is the vehicle.
Yeah.
Crane with a camera arm, massive camera. So we're talking pieces of metal that are this big, aren't we?
Yeah.
They're like, look, a bit like this thing
it's
here,
huge.
right? But
I can't remember how long, but it's huge and long.
Yeah.
So they were supposed to start with the camera scooping along the ground, so low to the ground. And then as I drive towards it, so now we're in closing speeds, as I come toward it and it's safe distance away, it lifts up and goes over the top of me.
So you got a closing speed of what?
Well, I was going about 70. They
You're
were
going about 70?
kilometers an hour, not miles. They were going about 45 kilometers an hour. So you got an enclosing speed of 125 kilometers an hour, which is huge.
Yeah, it's nearly 100 miles an hour.
Yeah,
right?
but if you work out something, if you keep everything, which is supposed to have, this is how you do stunts. You work out something safe, then you don't change a thing. Because if you change one thing, it changes the safety of the stunt. So I stayed exact same spot, same way you take off, everything's exactly the same. What I didn't know was that there was things changed they changed things without making me aware of it. They changed the camera lens, which then changes the distance that they see me.
Length, yeah.
So it changed the time that they lift the boom. And then they changed the timing to lift the boom. They decided to lift the boom, the crane, 1 beat later, which in those enclosing speeds is over 33 meters, without telling me. If they had told me, I specifically would have said, no, I know where the thing lifts. We don't have 33 meters. If you're stuck to exactly the same, fine, but you can't change anything. So off I go, expecting the exact same thing. They drive towards me, boom on the floor, and then they just don't lift it in time and drive the camera and the boom straight into my head and my upper left side of my body. Take me off the bike goes forward, and that was it.
What do you remember of that?
Luckily, very unluckily for them, but luckily for me, I remember the whole day except for the impact. And then apparently, I don't know how, but I was conscious and I was trying to get up. I don't remember that, but I remember 1 second of seeing the roof of an ambulance. I don't remember knowing it's an ambulance, but I remember seeing the roof. So on my left-hand side of my face, it's called degloving. I don't know if you've ever looked at it on the internet. It's horrific. And it's a small scar now. Well,
you've healed.
It's faint compared to what happened. To deglove my side of my face, so you could see my teeth through the cheek.
So
through
it
my
lifted
cheek.
Everything off, all the muscle,
separated this
all
way.
the skin. What did it do to your eye? You're lucky to have kept your eye,
I
right?
broke. Yeah, I had shards of glass all in my eye. Luckily, I can see. I broke shattered this whole bone here.
Cheekbone.
And then
So had to be rebuilt.
Eyebrow and cheekbone, which they rebuilt. It's not exactly the same, but it's pretty much the same. Pieces of that went through my ear, so I couldn't hear for a long time.
Pieces of your cheekbone went through your ear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My ear canal. Oh man, I've got paralysis on my left hand side because they're scraping my face, then hitting my shoulder while your head's still going forward like that.
Yeah.
You actually rip 5 nerves out of your spinal cord by the root, which supplies this top left side of your body. So that's all paralyzed. You can't put them back in your spine. Then I had brain bleed, brain swelling. I had severed this brachial artery here, so lots of internal bleeding.
So inside you've severed an artery, so you're actually bleeding.
I think it
into
just
the cavities.
pulled so hard that it split. Yeah. And then so I had internal bleeding and so swelled so much that it caused my lung to collapse.
Yeah, because you're breathing into a cavity, that's what happens. It's basically the blood inside your body pushes down onto your lungs to the point that it can't actually expand, right?
Yeah.
As people die, obviously.
Yeah. Then I had several broken ribs, pretty much all of them on my left-hand side. Broken humerus, both my forearm bones broken, open fracture, and then a big piece of bone missing that we never found, like this size, 9 centimeters.
Say that again.
There was a piece of one of my forearm bones. I know
a bit
it's
of your
not funny,
bone
but
missing that big, and that was never found. So it's somewhere in South Africa still.
Yeah.
There's always been a little bit of you
my thumb.
in South Africa.
The thumb was amputated. They found my thumb, and then the medical guy brought it in the next day. He's like, I found the thumb. It was too late to put it on, but.
So, isn't it amazing that your body put itself into such shock And I've sadly, I've seen this in other parts of the world, in Afghanistan, etc. People have, literally been blown up, and they've been having a conversation. It's not until you've got to get, well, not necessarily me, but people have to get to them that quickly to put the morphine in before the shock drops and everything else kicks in, the pain kicks in.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of pain. And you tried to get up. So
Apparently.
It's basically degloved your face. So it's ripped off everything off your face. It's sent your cheekbone back through the back of your ear. It's ripped. They had to put, I remember reading something that they had to put the nerves back into your eye socket, didn't they? Didn't they? Using tweezers. They had to try and trace.
No, what that story is, I think, is so this is all crushed here. So they had to build like a little cage. He had to mimic my cheekbone. And then they used tweezers to get all the little shards of bone to try and rebuild the side. There's a few gaps still, but it's pretty much the same, I guess. And then, actually the thing that saved me, which most doctors told me at the time, was how fit and strong I was, because my shoulder blade was shattered. And they say
the whole of your scapula, that big bit of bone.
Yeah, shattered. And that's from a frontal impact. And apparently that's really rare, like to shatter that from a frontal impact. But because all my muscles are so strong from so many years of boxing, it kept everything together. They said otherwise I would have...
You'd lost it.
Amputated my whole shoulder on impact.
Well, you travel 100 miles an hour, hitting a solid piece of metal.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then I remember being in a coma, which is hell, literally fucking hell. It's the worst place I've ever been, is in a coma. And when I woke up eventually, after 3 weeks, when I was able to talk, I would say to my husband in a very small voice, I was like, don't let them put me back in there. It was fucking horrible. I was just having like hallucinations, like nightmares all the time. But the darkest ones, it was so horrible. I can still remember them so well now. It's horrible. There was lots of like rape, lots of dark sexual things, and where I was humiliated and people were stringing me up on walls. But I'd gone to that place myself and I felt so bad because of my husband. Once, I had a massive spinal operation. And this was worse than the original, actually, hospital thing. A massive spinal operation, which went wrong. Had to do it again. It was fucking hell again. And they gave me lots of morphine, reacted badly, and I literally thought, while I was awake, that everybody was a zombie. Not in a funny way, in a fucking scary way. And I tried to escape the hospital, but I was pinned to the bed. And I saw a neck brace out of the corner of my eyes, and I thought, if I could get to that neck brace, I can escape. So I was swinging my legs up to try and swing my body up to get out, but I couldn't do it. So eventually I put the blanket over my head and I thought, I'm just going to wait for somebody to eat me. And then somebody came, a nurse, and I thought, oh shit, she's rescuing me. So she wheeled me off and she took me to this room. And I thought, oh, she's taken me to a hotel. And I was like, oh, this is mine and Dave's new apartment. So then I'm waiting there and I'm waiting for the zombies to come find me in this apartment on like the 11th floor. And then Dave walks in and I just burst out crying. I was like, oh my God, is this real or not? Like I had no idea. It was so fucking horrible. And I'd have strange hallucinations all the time like that.
So how, I know that your family are very important to you, but your husband, he supported you through this, hasn't he? How important is he?
Sorry. I told you I'd cry.
Well,
the weird thing is I never cry.
Hey, I'm joining you. But
the weird thing is,
but there's a moment that you talk about because you're in a coma, and so you've got pipes, you've got half your face missing, you've got staples, stitches, you're shattered, your body's fucked.
I've got half a head of hair.
Yeah, you got half a head basically,
yeah.
And you're doing this to your arm, right? Even though you're in Dante's Inferno there, whatever's going on in that head, all that poison that's in your head and all the poison that's been pushed into your system, and you're doing that to your left arm, and he sees that. And that's a hard moment for him, right?
Yeah, I imagine. The whole thing was, I think, in a way, even worse for him and my family than it was for me, because they've got to watch it.
But he knew that you knew that there was something wrong with your arm,
yeah,
right?
Apparently, so I still had a tube in my throat. And then, so they weren't allowed to talk to me for some time or even touch me. But when I came out of the coma, when I still had a tube in my throat, I kept pointing to my arm just to tell him. And then I think I tried to get out once that I need to start physio tomorrow. But I didn't know that it was paralyzed. And nobody had the heart to tell me, I think.
So you didn't know it was paralyzed?
No. Well, they knew. I didn't know. But they also...
Because all these nerves being ripped out of your out of your back.
Out of the spinal cord. So, but my husband was absolutely determined that we will find a doctor in the world, in America, he tried a lot, and in England, that can fix it. But you soon come to the conclusion that they can't fix it. When I was quite certain myself that there's nothing they can do, I just wanted to take it off.
That is a big decision.
Not when you're in that position.
Really?
Like, it was holding me back so much. I could not stand up for more than a minute or two. And anyway, I had a big piece of bone missing, which we had to take one of my shin bones to replace that. I was like, I'm not chopping the rest of my body. Yeah. And then forever I have to carry this withered old arm around. I was like, what's the point of that? Just take it off and let's go.
And you've sort of made a decision, Olivia, not to have a prosthetic, right? Is that permanent?
Yeah.
Is that it's a permanent decision. You don't want to have one.
Yeah, I can't be asked. Like, I've got way too much going on. I'm not bothered. The only thing that a prosthetic does is for looks, and I don't give a shit because it doesn't look cool, does it? It's a big old foam arm. I can't have a robotic one because I can't even wear a hoodie. It's too heavy for my shoulder.
Right. So I've got a friend who's a sound guy. I'm sure Kemp won't be talking about this. He's soundy. And he's worked on lots of films. He's been with me around the world, and he blew his arm off. His arm got blown off, and he used the clipper. Sometimes he has tapped me on the head a couple of times with it, and that's what I have to say. I probably deserved it at the time. I think I definitely deserved it in a bar in South Africa. Actually, in Kenya, but he uses the stretch in his back to be able to draw the clipper and open the clipper. So he does that, and it just closes and opens.
Yeah.
But could you do that? And would you want that? I mean,
well,
do you want
have to take
it's very piratesque. You know, it looks like a pirate's.
Yeah, I do like them. I went to all the top places to try and investigate about it. And even one of the producers from Marvel that I'd worked with before in my film career, he phoned me and he was putting me in touch with this Open Bionics, which they're working with to make superhero forearms and hands for kids without hands.
I could.
Anyhow, they don't actually make, shoulder, elbow, and wrist joints yet. And I would never be able to take the weight. And also, there's not many people that actually use it because you just want to get on with things. You can't. It takes a long time to learn. You've got to use other muscles. You've got to use a tricep to move your fingers and things like that.
So I have to ask the question: have you received any compensation from the people who made Resident Evil?
No, I haven't received any compensation, unfortunately.
How much money did the film gross?
Well, that film itself grossed over $300 million.
$300 million?
Yep. And
they haven't offered you any compensation, really?
No, I haven't received anything.
Resident Evil?
Yep.
Aptly named?
Yep.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, I think so.
We're talking about this now again. I mean, you've been a Muay Thai boxer. Sorry, you've been an international model. You've been, a Buddhist monk for a bit. You've seen the world. You've done all those things, and now you're in a situation where all those things that you've done, you're possibly never going to be able to do again.
That's the hardest thing.
How do you overcome that? How do you? I
don't think you ever do, actually. That is the hardest part to take away. Can take away my looks, who cares? Can take away pieces of my body, that's fine. well, not fine, but I can deal with that. The lifestyle change was and is the hardest part, because we haven't talked about it, but the love of my life was motocross. Absolutely fucking loved motocross. And, stunts and traveling and martial arts and, always using my body and traveling and just having fun and living life to the fullest. And now I knew I just couldn't do any of that, and I had to live a very sedentary life.
Is that
is the
driving you
part.
nuts? Driving you nuts?
That is the hardest part to deal with, but I think I'm over that bit now. I always knew it would take me. I just need to find a new passion, as I'm sure you can tell. Passions drive me in life.
Yeah, clearly.
So I needed the fucking time to chill out and heal myself. I'll never heal properly. But I need time to be able to deal with that in my own mind. And then when I'm okay with that, then find some new passions in life that will drive me forward. So.
But if it wasn't for the way that you're built, I think mentally and physically, I don't think you'd still be here.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen you, as I say, I see you train. You put me to shame. Anyone to shame in terms of determination and also the pain that you're in. Also, you said one thing to me before we started, and you said, you got to remember, Ross, I sometimes I can't remember. That's still part and parcel of it. So it's neurological and physical.
Yeah. And the weird thing is from the brain trauma. So when I came out of the coma, I couldn't walk. I had to learn to walk again, like a baby. I couldn't actually sit because your brain doesn't work with your muscles anymore. It completely bashes out your coordination and all that memory.
So all the motor neurons that get sent down to lift my arm up, move my foot,
you have to learn it again.
Move my foot.
So I could talk and move my head, but I couldn't sit, and also didn't have the strength. I was so weak, and I had to learn to walk again. Then when coming back to martial arts, to kickboxing, it took me a while, to. As you said, when I train, a lot of people think, oh, she's fine now because she's training and she's horse riding and all this stuff. It's like, you don't just do it like a normal person does it. It's fucking mentally hard work just to get there and back,
I want to ask you a question now. You talk about enlightenment and we talk about a path, in Buddhism. How do you reconcile that, your faith in Buddhism and where you are now?
Yeah. Well, what enlightenment is a state of mind. It's not like in Christianity we're outside God. Buddha was a human, and he was able to go to really deep with himself, to the deepest level of consciousness, to see what's there, to see what he is at the truest nature. So what enlightenment is to be able to settle in that deepest nature, so that, and at that point, you allow everything in life to just be without attaching extreme emotions and everything. You can have emotions and you allow them to be, but you allow everything to be free. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
It does sort of, but what I'm saying is, so how has it helped you overcome the pain and facing the future, I would say? What is the future? Well,
with pain, at the really bad phases when I'm just lying in hospital, screaming inside with pain, I think how it helps there is instead of getting to that state where you just want to escape and you get into like a panic attack, you just want to escape your body, because the thing is you can't escape neuropathic pain. I can't escape this body. So it allows you to not get to that point. It allows you to almost, in a way, realize this is where I am now. I'm in a really bad phase. I'm in a lot of pain, but this is what it is. And it takes that edge off so you can settle in that moment without letting it completely overwhelm you. And then, I know that everything in life is also a massive theme in Buddhism. Everything changes all the time. You and I have changed since we've been here. We're different human beings. Our cells have changed. Even these microphones have changed since we've been here, but just very slowly. So I know that things will change, especially now. Like one day I might be in pain. I know tomorrow I might not be in as much pain or might change all the time. So it allowed me to just be in that moment and knowing that it will change. I don't know what the future holds, but I'll see when I get there. Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries.